Katie here from the Scrappy Sisters, and I am up with just a fun little 12 by 12 layout that I created using this cut file from Confessions of a Paper Addict. It was something that was released in March, so it's pretty new. I can't remember exactly what it's called. At the movies, film, something like that. I will try and remember to leave the direct link to the cut file down below, but the link will definitely be there to the shop and you can go and check it out. And I just decided to cut this out on white cardstock and not back it or anything like that, and use it on this sort of quite busy pattern paper that I've got that you can sort of see peeking through there. I decided I couldn't quite see the cut file enough because it's quite a white based pattern paper. It's black as a background, but it's got the white text, and the cut file was hiding a little bit, so I used my ever faithful Heidi Swap Colour Shining Gold and just did some spraying just to add a little bit of gold to the layout, to the cut file, just to help it pop a bit. And then I thought the paper was a little bit too much, and I got some vellum. Now I've only got vellum in A4 size, and so I just got some vellum and added that kind of over the top of the 12 by 12 paper just to kind of tone it down a little bit and sort of blur out the busyness of the background. Now this picture that I've got is actually a photo of a selfie of my partner and I at the movies. We had gone to see the new, it's new, I guess it is still new, the Star Wars movie when was this photo taken? January. And there's one of me with my feet up because the movies we go to have the recliners. The cinema, we go to have the recliners, and I have a choc top, and so that's what those photos are. And I've printed them in black and white because they weren't great quality. They were sneakily taken in the cinema. And as I was sort of playing around with this layout, I'm actually using this layout as a challenge in the Secret Not Secret. No, sorry, that is a complete lie. I'm using it for a challenge in the Confessions of a Paper Addict Facebook group. In March, they had a whole heap of challenges going, and this was a challenge that Danny, the beautiful Danny V on YouTube, she is the DT with us at Confessions of a Paper Addict, and her challenge was to mix metals and use multiple different metals on a layout, so gold, silver, rose gold, that type of thing. And so I painted this cut file gold, and then as I was going, I realized, I could use this as one of her challenge, or for her challenge. So that's what I did. And so I decided that I would add some silver onto this layout as well. I know, controversial. But I did print the photos in black and white because, again, they weren't great quality, but also I felt like they fit better with the sort of theme that I was going with, which I've pulled out a lot of black, gold and white ephemera to add as well. So I've just backed my photos in white cardstock, adding some foam onto the background to pop them up. And then I am going to play around with my embellishments and see what I can make work. So I don't know what else to tell you, really. We had a great March. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. We released a video every day, so my sister and I alternated. So we had 15 videos up. March has 31 days, so Jess had 15 videos up and I had 16. Plus we did our Confessions of a Paper Addict DT videos on top of that as well. So you got 4 of those. And then Jess also did 4 videos for Kidaholic Kits, which don't go on our channel, but she made those videos as well. So we had a very busy March and February preparing for March. So it's been nice to have a little bit more of a relaxed April. Oh yeah, I decided that the photos blended in too much with the cut file and I needed to back them again in a mat of black cardstock. So thankfully the Tombow wet glue, you've got quite a bit of time before it completely dries. So I was able to pull up the foam and then stick my photos down onto this black cardstock and then cut them out and then add the foam back. The foam does absorb quite a lot of the glue, so it's a little bit annoying because you use a little bit more glue than you really need to for the Tombow. It's quite a sticky glue, but because the foam kind of sucks in and absorbs some of it, you have to be a little bit more generous than you would potentially want to be for an expensive glue like that. So here I am, I've trimmed them down, and then I'm going to see, I decided there wasn't enough glue on there to stick them back on, so I had to add a bit more and then stick that back onto the background. And then I'm pretty sure I just glue these straight on. And so what I decided to do was that I would allow the ephemera and the photos to hold down the cut file, so I don't actually glue the cut file down separately. I add a tiny little bit of glue at the end for some of the bits that were sort of curling up and needed to be stuck down, but otherwise I don't glue the cut file as a whole. I knew that this would be enough to hold the bulk of it, so yeah, that's another tip for you. If you've got a really intricate cut file like this, don't feel like you need to stick it down necessarily by itself. You can use the ephemera and whatnot that you're adding in your photos to help stick that cut file down, and then just do what I did and come back at the end and just add a little bit of glue around the edges where you need to stick down individual parts of the cut file. So now I'm just playing around with my clusters and seeing how I can make these work. So I've pulled out a lot of these ephemera pieces from some older collections that I have from the Reject Shop, which is Rosie's Studio. Don't ask me what collections these were from. It was actually they were bought in the days before I knew that the Reject Shop collections were Rosie's Studio in New Zealand, as a New Zealand company. I didn't realise that until actually meeting Virginia, of all people, when she was doing her Rosie's Studio hauls. And I was thinking, I've seen those collections in the Reject Shop. And then I did a bit of research and realised that actually the Reject Shop buy their collections from Rosie's Studio and they repackage them into a different, the Reject Shop brand. So there you go. That's how I found that out. So I'm creating 3 little clusters, one on the left hand side of my photo, one on the top of my photo clusters, and then one in the bottom right of the layout. And just kind of layering things up, really. This is a busy layout. I appreciate that. And it's something a little bit different for me. I don't tend to make more monochrome layouts like this. There's a lot of gold going on. And then when I add the silver, there's a lot going on. But I am really happy with how it turned out. And yeah, it's another memory recorded. I need to add a little bit of journaling before I put it into my album, which I haven't done yet. But that's okay. I haven't journaled on any of my layouts yet this year, I don't think. But you know, these things happen. I'm not great at journaling. So in 2019, I didn't journal really on my 12 by 12 layouts at all because I did Project Life as well and I kept them alongside each other. This year I am not 100% sure, but I was thinking about doing digital Project Life and printing a photo book rather than physical Project Life. So I actually haven't done any Project Life so far this year. And I'm still thinking I will do digital, but there is a slim chance I might just do nothing at all. So we'll wait and see what happens. So now I'm sticking down my ephemera clusters, and I have edited this out so you don't have to watch the whole thing. You do just basically watch me stick down this this piece on foam, and then I'll magically, by the power of editing, skip to having finished sticking down all of the ephemera. So I just edit those parts out because you've seen me create the clusters, and I figure you don't really need to watch me stick them down because things do move slightly, but essentially they end up in the same place. So you can see there, as I said, edited all of it out, but I've just laid up all my clusters, added the little touches, just adding in the last little arrow, I think, down there. And then this is where I add my silver titles. So I've created my title as I Love Date Nights With You. Pretty sure that's what I wrote. And so I've put the I Love Date Nights up the top left and then the with you in the right hand side of the photos. And I added the bigger cluster at the top because I didn't have anything in that sort of top left, and I'd created that cluster in the bottom left of my layout. So I have added my I Love Date Nights With You, and then I'm adding silver love hearts to each of the clusters as well as another little pop of silver, just to make sure that I guess people know that it's a very deliberate choice, me adding silver, and I deliberately wanted to do that. And I've added them from again in March, I created a homemade kit which included lots of thicker phrases that I was trying to use up. So while none of the ephemera or anything were from my homemade kit, I'd kept my thicker phrases out, and I'm still trying to work through them, so I just thought I would add them onto here. So there you go. I am done. I thought about adding splatters, but I don't actually think that I do. I think I leave it At that, I do. Look at that. So I will show you a close-up photo in a minute, and then that is the layout done. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate your support, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye.